Hello and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about the 2006 film The Prestige. The Prestige is about two competing magicians in 1890s London who are both desperate to better the other one by coming up with an inexplicable magic trick. To be clear, I really enjoyed this movie. I love a bit of magic and I love Hugh Jackman. But what really threw me off was the completely illogical twist ending to this film. But we will get to that.
What you're about to witness is not magic.
As the movie begins, Michael Caine's character Cutter introduces us to the 3 stages to a magic trick. The pledge, where the magician shows you something ordinary like a bird. The turn, where they do something extraordinary like make the bird disappear. And the prestige, where there's a twist and they bring the bird back. This is all shown in contrast to Hugh Jackman's character Robert performing a trick along the same rules, where he is attempting to make himself disappear and reappear. However, not 5 minutes into this film, we watch Hugh Jackman fall through a trapdoor, into a tank, and drown. Great magic trick, tell your friends and family. For the rest of the film, we switch between 3 different timelines, so I'm going to try my best to make it clear where we're at. Firstly, Christian Bale's character Alfred is on trial for the murder of Robert after he was found backstage with the body. Once in prison, he's approached by a man on behalf of Lord Coldlow, who is interested in purchasing the secrets to his magic tricks. The man basically says, your daughter's going to be an orphan, so sell us your magic tricks and we'll make sure she has an okay life. Honestly, dick move. Robert and Alfred are up-and-coming Not musicians, they're magicians. This is going to be a problem. We then jump to our earliest point in the timeline where Alfred and Robert are both up-and-coming magicians. After a performance goes wrong, Robert's wife tragically dies in an underwater escape act. The two then become rivals as Alfred was the one who tied the knots that she couldn't escape from.
What you like to do, Ty?
I'm sorry, I just don't know.
You don't know?
Again, we are heavy on the tragedy early in this movie. Alfred meets a woman called Sarah after a performance of the birdcage trick, which has revealed that the bird in the cage is actually crushed to death and then replaced with a new bird. I promise this movie isn't all about death. I mean, it is, but it's not only about death. Also, this kid hates it. He knows that bird is dead and he is traumatized. Alfred wants to bring more of a shock factor to his shows, so he's shown practicing a bullet catch trick, but he reveals that there's never actually a bullet in the gun and it gets like magnetized out of it. He then goes to perform this on a show night and gives the gun to an audience member, but it turns out to be Robert in disguise. This is not Hugh Jackman's most flattering appearance. It actually looks like when he played Captain Hook in that film Pan, which I did not watch because I found it too creepy looking.
Hey-ho. The show must go on.
So Robert tampers with the gun and ends up shooting 2 of Alfred's fingers off. I'm sorry guys, before I watched this back I did not realise how gruesome and depressing this was. Custer and Robert start working together again alongside Scarlett Johansson's character Olivia. Robert doesn't like the brutal bird trick, so Cutter comes up with an invention that helps keep the bird alive basically.
You're a magician, not a wizard. You're not a wizard.
When they debut a new trick with audience members, this time Alfred is in disguise, and he again tampers with the machinery, which not only kills the bird, but also mangles an audience member's hand. Sorry. We then see Alfred's transported man trick, which Robert is unable to understand how he does it without a body double, when it's both clearly Alfred coming in and out of the box.
The man stole my life. I'm gonna steal his trick.
And this is the whole premise of the movie. In the middle timeline, Robert travels to meet Nikola Tesla, played by David Bowie, and employs him to make some kind of machine that will help him copy the transported man trick. Back in our earlier timeline, Robert and Cutter decide to copy the transported man trick using a body double. It's quite subtle, but if you look hard enough, it's actually Hugh Jackman playing this other person who's meant to look like Hugh Jackman. After adding some showmanship that Alfred's performance was lacking, Robert's performance goes down really well, but he's still frustrated because he can't figure out how Alfred did his trick, and also he's not getting any of the glory now because his body double is the one on stage at the end of every show. So in his frustration, Robert sends Olivia to go spy on Alfred to find out how he does his trick.
You'll be my spy.
Alfred then sabotages one of Robert's shows, humiliating him, so Robert grills Olivia on how Alfred does his performance.
He lives! He's act! Don't you see?
Remember that. Olivia has stolen Alfred's diary for Robert, but she seems hesitant about giving it to him.
It won't bring your wife back.
I don't care about my wife, I care about his secret.
Who is the good guy here? I don't know who I'm rooting for. Our first timeline then joins on to where Robert goes to meet Nikola Tesla. Tesla continues to test his new machine, but it's not working.
I don't understand.
Me, this whole movie. One night Tesla's workshop burns down and he flees, but he leaves Robert a completed machine and a warning not to use it. But obviously Robert ignores that because this is all he's ever wanted. And we all know if there's ever some kind of mysterious warning, the characters are going to ignore it. Back in the present day, Alfred is finishing the end of Robert's diary, where Robert is somehow gloating about the fact that Alfred has been arrested for his murder. So now we have magicians and ghosts? When Robert returns to London with his new machine, he's very secretive about the whole process of how it works. He even hires blind stagehands to manage the show. The performances are a success as he appears to be struck by Tesla's coil on the stage and then moments later appears across the other side of the venue. Another night the show begins, but this time Alfred is in the audience and sneaks backstage to see how he does his trick. And this is where the movie began, as we see Robert drop through the trapdoor into the tank and drown, while Alfred actually tries to save him by smashing the glass open. However, for everyone else it's clear that Alfred must have snuck behind the stage to sabotage somehow. OMG drama, all was not as it seemed. When Alfred goes to say goodbye to his daughter for the last time and meet Lord Coldlow, who's buying all his magic tricks, it's revealed that Lord Coldlow is actually Robert in disguise. Say what you want, but these two men can rock a disguise, apart from that one that we're not going to talk about. So as we've established, the movie obviously takes creative license on historical accuracy, but for the most part it's set in our reality and reveals the truth behind the tricks that are performed by Robert and Alfred. What I didn't show you earlier in the movie is that with Tesla's machine, while it looks like it's failing to make the cats and hats disappear, it turns out it's actually duplicating them. What in the hocus pocus wizarding world of Harry Potter is this? So, are you following? Every night, Robert disappears in one place and appears in another, but he's actually being duplicated. While the new duplicate appears across the other side of the venue and continues to perform, the original Robert drops through a trapdoor into a tank and drowns. And then the blind stagehands unknowingly dispose of all the bodies. I'm sorry, what? This is not the fun family entertainment that I look for in a magic show. The one saving grace to this movie's ending is after Alfred's execution, his assistant Fallon goes to confront Robert. Fallon shoots Robert, but as it pans up, it's revealed that this man is also missing 2 fingers, like Alfred. So does this man also have a duplication machine?
My brother. A twin.
Ah, yeah, that makes more sense. So I haven't really talked about Fallon's character through this movie because he's so in the background. But you don't hear from him. He's referenced and Alfred talks to him in the background, but you never really see him as a character in himself. But this is how we find out the truth behind Alfred's transported man trick. It was a body double. It was his twin brother. But not only were they switching places on stage, they're switching places in the entirety of their lives.
He lives! He's act! Don't you see?
They even go as far as to chop the second's fingers off, so they're still indistinguishable from each other. Now that is dedication of another kind. My sister and I could not share clothes, let alone a life. There's one point where I even thought Fallon might be a figment of Alfred's imagination, just because of the way he's spoken to and doesn't respond. And this shot here, which just is really odd that it doesn't pan to him for response, it just stays on Alfred the whole time.
Just leave him alone. We're done.
But then I remembered that other people can also see Fallon, and also that still wouldn't explain how he did his magic trick. Never mind, I didn't have it. Robert then dies from the gunshot wound, and fire spreads across the whole venue, destroying all evidence of his survival and the magical machine. And at the very end of the movie, Alfred is then reunited with his daughter. One of the Alfreds? I think this one's actually her father rather than her uncle. Well, that was a whirlwind. Although shocking, the authentic reveal behind Alfred's trick is so much more satisfying than the weird magical cop-out of Robert's, which just really confused me. One inconsistent twist to the rest of the storyline, you know? I was really expecting it to all be explained in a logical manner. I said earlier about not knowing who to root for in this movie because both of the men do horrible things to each other. I think at the beginning of the movie you're meant to be rooting for Robert because he's had this horrible thing happen to him by losing his wife, and he's so heartbroken and it's so tragic. Whereas in comparison, Alfred doesn't seem particularly remorseful, and he's quite a confusing character to relate to because he's not very transparent in his thoughts and feelings. But I think in the end, Robert probably stoops the lowest and actually gets Alfred killed. But then the other Alfred does shoot Robert, so I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Well, I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of The Prestige. Let me know if there are any other TV shows or films you would like me to talk about, and I'll see you for the next video. Bye!
It was the greatest magic trick